What's shaking, man?
Just brewed me a fresh cup of coffee
You
to
did?
get me through the next. Yeah, dude, I need it, man. It was an early morning at the Bruce household.
Yeah, it was early here too, but I, you know, went back for a quick nap in there, so I'm all right.
Yeah, I think I actually was only about an hour away from catching your email this morning on my sunrise wake up.
Come on, that was like,
No, man, I seriously, I was. I think your email. I checked it. I got up at like 2:45 to feed Hayden, and I think you had sent your email at like 1:30. So I wasn't too far off, man.
that is impressive on both ends, really. I mean,
Well,
we're just pretty
we.
much got the whole clock covered.
I was just about to say, man, with both of our strengths, you with the late night hours, myself with the wee hours of the morning, we can pretty much cover the Crushing Iron hotline 24/7.
Yeah, so contact us at any time.
Yes, that's right. We're available at your 1-800 Crush Iron.
Yeah,
It doesn't really fit, but you get the gist.
yeah, we'll come up with something catchy like that because it's all
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. Hashtag 1-800.
All right, man. I am pumped to discuss this. I think we're discussing that article in running.
Yes.
Everybody
Yeah.
likes to
Yeah.
hear about running. Everybody wants to know about
Everybody.
running.
Yeah. Everybody likes to run faster, but likes to gain some not more knowledge and tools for their training box.
Heck yeah, man. So all this started with an article you sent me, um, and I have it here. It is from the Science of Running, and it's
Yeah.
about this guy named Ernst Van Aaken.
Yes. Good old Ern.
You know him? He's a good friend.
Not personally. I think he. I'm not sure he's actually still with us.
Oh,
But I don't know him personally.
but clearly his theories are still with us.
Yes.
And he was quite a coach back in the day, it sounds like, and maybe now, maybe people kind of went away from his techniques for a while and they're rediscovering him. Is that kind of what I'm feeling here?
Well, I originally pulled it. There's a Steve Magnus, who's one of the, I would say, pretty much renowned experts when it comes to running. I follow him on Twitter, and he had posted something. He and Alan Couzens. Alan Couzens is a pretty phenomenal triathlon coach coming out of Endurance Corner, and they just kind of posted something today. A man way ahead of his time.
Oh,
And with his methods of training, and he was a big name, I think, back in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then the other big name that you always hear, associated with running, besides him, is when you go back in the day and look at who people kind of picked up their training methods or their philosophy or their kind of paths to performance was this Linear character. And so anyway, they kind of went back, and I think the reason I enjoyed reading it was, one, because I find it fascinating the different approaches that people take, and then when you look at some of the high performance athletes that actually succeed on a world class level, not just like a country Olympic stage. We're talking like world beaters, like top 0.0001% of the world. And it's like, what do they do? And every time you look back at it, it's honestly, it's the answer that nobody wants to hear.
yeah, it sounds like it. And we will link to this article in the notes. So, but as we go into it, let me just you sent this with you gotta read this one, so I did, and it really, obviously, you knew it was going to resonate with me. But if I may sum up the theory he has, and it's basically about running more efficiently and faster is all about getting more oxygen into your heart to build your heart, and you're getting oxygen into your cells. And now, is that about accurate? And then now we can talk about what he prescribes as a method.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's suggesting. And he does it from he kind of breaks it down at a cellular level of how you need to construct not the perfect, but the ideal kind of running machine.
Mm.
And it doesn't start, with the VO2 intervals and the mile repeats and the 800s. It literally, the meat and potatoes of it is the low heart rate, easy paced. We're talking like 3 to 5 on the RP, perceived exertion scale, which is the basis of his training, but the basis of where you're building up this energy system to where you're using oxygen so efficiently that the need to do these, like, run busting workouts of, just significant mileage and intensity just aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the results he's able to put out with these athletes, and then also the similar methods that so many pros in triathlon take as well, and coaches, and what they suggest you do. And it is with Lydiard, and it is what it is. It's boring. It
Yeah.
is boring. It is boring, and it takes a while, but damn it, does it work.
If I may throw in an analogy here, I just thought of what this reminds me of is, he's talking about a slow, progressive flooding of your body with oxygen to let it kind of sink in and seep in. It reminds me of the most effective rainfall for your lawn or flowers or whatever it may be. It's that slow, soft rain that just keeps going versus a fast thunderstorm. And that's kind of like the water can get into your roots, and I think he's talking about the oxygen getting into your roots and your cells and things like that at a slower pace, and more, so it's a patient operation.
It is, which is the opposite of what most of us really want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
We would rather hear, oh, you can do 3 times a week with one long run and then the other 2 hard intervals, and you can PR your training days, and that's how you're going to get faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how you're going to get faster. And actually, having read that article and studied it and kind of used it for my own benefit last year, and we'll get to that here in a little bit, but actually used this analogy with an athlete of mine in my day job. That was when I was talking to him about how other people are perceived and how people's goals shouldn't affect your own. And and that's why I think that these websites like Strava, Garmin Connect, whatever, my Fitness Pal to an extent, it's all about what you can do today and if it's good enough to show people.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I went out for an easy 40 minute run. Beautiful day, on my lunch break, and I averaged, I think, maybe 10 15s.
Okay, so I mean, is this something you've been doing though, right? Isn't something you just
Yeah.
was like, hey, I'm gonna go try the Van Aaken
No.
method,
I,
but
I did it. No, I did it last year. It was my first kind of you know awakening, I guess, to the the boring and non-flashy, just quiet hard work running, which is, most of it is just not glamorous.
no.
It's not something you want to post to Instagram for your 4 miles at 6 minute pace. It's the 4 or 5 miles, 4 or 5 runs I would do a week at like 9.5 plus pace. So for example, I texted last night looking back through my data last year. I had PR'd for my half marathon at Tom King, and that was in March.
Mm-hmm.
I started running uh, in October, so October of 2015, leading up to March of 2016. And I went back and looked through all the mileage I did between October, an October date, and I think mid March, which was Tom King, and it came out to about 800 miles. And of those 800 miles, when I took the volume that I did in hours and ran a report, my average pace for the entire 700-800 miles was 8:25
Wow.
average pace. 8:25s. Not shabby, but not glamorous.
Yeah, but let me
Um,
just like for a lot of people that would probably be pretty good. But when you say you went out for a 10, 15 pace or whatever, what is your heart rate? Just to kind of relate that back.
oh, I would say for me at that point, we're talking about a heart rate below 150.
Okay.
So generally speaking, for me, my marathon uh pace, we're looking at like a 155 average.
No, I meant on your 10-minute, 10-15 run. Is that?
Oh, the one I did yesterday?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Just to,
like 135.
okay. So yeah, this one here was talking about to keep it between 120 and 150. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so and then I noticed something here too that I mean I just took out a couple notes in this, but this Van Aken says he believes that training might include up to 40 kilometers a day spread out over 5 runs per day.
Yeah.
Is that? When's
You
the
know,
last
I
time you
think
did that one?
yeah, never. I think for, that a specific the population he's talking about are the ones that are A, just runners, but B, the ones that have the time to accumulate that much of a training load that are trying to go for the Olympics or to professionals in the marathon. I think I am a huge fan of the double and even the triple run
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to just accumulating volume, um, throughout the and frequency. I don't think it's necessarily reasonable. And a lot of people might read that and think, oh, well, that's just for them. I can't run 5 times a day. Well, that's not actually what he's telling you to do. He's just telling you to, you know, consider these objectives in this approach and construct your training in this way, and you're going to get these results.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at or talk to most high level athletes, this is how they train. They don't Not every workout is worthy of an Instagram filter.
Right.
It's not glamorous. It's not you got to be able to put in the work because the energy systems you're working on, and I always explain to my athletes this way who have kind of a hard time wrapping their brain around it is at the cellular level, and when you're talking like just get down to the scientific side of it, you're building more and more and more mitochondria, which is how your muscles work, protein synthesis, and all these things. The slower you run, working at that aerobic pace continues to build those. And the more you have of those, obviously, the more oxygen you're going to be able to consume and take in, and the more efficient you're going to be. The small amounts of interspersed speed work or tempo work or strength work with hills makes those mitochondria work more efficiently.
Okay. Let's get in.
Sharpen it. Just so we're building a solid sword, and then we're going to kind of sharpen it a little bit towards the end.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about his speed work theories. Um, I have here an example. Let's see. Long runs with 130 heart rate and short bouts at race pace over a small portion of desired distance. For an example, this might be 3 times 500 meters at mile pace with plenty of recovery after an easy run. So I wasn't sure if that meant during the run or at the end.
No, I think he's talking about you're warming up you're warming up with an easy run. I thought the most fascinating part of that was the length of the recovery.
Oh, the 5 minutes?
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see so many people doing like I'm doing 4 1 mile repeats with 2 minutes easy,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy's running 500 meters, so a mile total, with 15 minutes rest basically of easy running.
Yeah.
And the other one that I thought, and I would guess that you found this very intriguing as well, are his suggestions on 50-meter bursts.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was just incredible because And I noticed this the other day when I was walking our dog, and I'll take her on like 50, 75 meter little just bursts to kind of wear some energy out, and you're flying, but you also, by the time you stop, you're not gassed. I mean, you may have run 50 meters at like a 6 minute pace, but when you stop and walk, you're not like winded, buckled over on your knees.
And wasn't
Um,
that his point? Is that when you exhaust yourself, when you're exhausted or you can't breathe, you're not really taking oxygen efficiently?
exactly, exactly.
Huh. It's pretty crazy. Um, let's see. The success of Van Aken's athletes using this low intensity, high quality quantity approach should help show you that aerobic development is the key success to distant events.
Yep.
Um, he,
Which we kind of touched on in our post today on Crushing Iron with the three myths about cycling. Is not every workout has to be watt crushing. You have to build the aerobic base, or nothing else matters.
yeah, it's yeah, it really does feel. I mean, because so many people put such heavy emphasis on speed work, and I always thought that yeah, well, it's like if I can run a comfortable pace fast, then really, an Ironman pace would be easy. But it's getting back to that whole thing about you haven't built that sword or that engine correctly. You might be able to get away with it occasionally, but they also mentioned in here that his main runner had a way longer career than most runners at the time too.
Exactly. And it's so much easier to, incorporate it. I'll cover two things quickly, and let me hit on the sword analogy real quick. It doesn't matter how sharp your sword is if it's weak.
Mm-hmm.
You go to use it and it's going to break. So it doesn't matter how sharp it is and how lethal you may think it is. You take one, you go into combat, and the foundation of the sword is weak and frail. It's going to break and you're done. Now, if it's less sharp but maybe more solid, what do you think has the better shot?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the one that's sturdier, that's more dense. And to go back to kind of what do you hit on real quick before I went into that little tangent about the analogy?
Oh, just that
I was gonna lose it.
low intensity, high
Yeah,
quality.
yeah. Injury standpoint,
Yeah.
and from a continuous training standpoint, if you're going to run a lot, running like right now, I have a lot of my athletes running 5 or 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all slow and steady. Getting them to do that and building that aerobic base, I'm also able to incorporate 2 to 3 really hard trainer sessions during the week. That's no impact on their skeletal system. Very, very limited to, if any, risk for injury. You're working your system anaerobically or at a threshold level, and your run workouts had no deteriorating effect on you being able to perform your bike workout at a maximum level, because you didn't go out and run 3 mile repeats at your threshold pace and then the next day hop on your trainer and try to do well, because you can't do it because your legs are trashed.
Oh yeah.
So it's about consistency and how much volume and you can do and build up, and building on training day after training day after training day after training day. And none of it's glamorous and none of it's something you want to tell people about, but it's knowing that you just putting it all together will allow, and the belief that it's going to allow you to perform on race day. And that's kind of what I had to believe when I trained this way for my half marathon last year. Was, yeah, I put in 700-800 miles. The average pace was 8:25 for me, which at that point was a fairly easy pace, and my goal pace was about a 6:25 to 6:30 for the half marathon. And I look back on it, and I ran about 1 mile total at that pace for the whole 700 miles in training. Yet when I went and raced, I ended up averaging about a 127. I think I could have done a little more speed work, but my legs were never just toast. I was durable enough to hold it. So could I have maybe trained a little bit sharper
Mm-hmm.
and then made it at mile 10? I mean, you saw me. I looked pretty decent, I thought, when we met for coffee at our favorite East Nashville coffee shop
Oh
after
yeah,
the
you look.
marathon that day. Yeah. But it works. It's just, do you want to win the training day or do you want to succeed at your event? And that's the kind of conversation you're going to have with yourself is, am I going to dive into this process enough to be okay running it? And you know what? And I got was in a kind of a text argument last night with one of my athletes who says she can't run that slow, um, at like a 9:40, and I sent her a pic of my run, and I was like, if I can run 10:20s, so can you. And she was like, yeah, you're right. It does feel kind of good to get done with the run and feel refreshed and not tired.
Yeah.
Which is something that you and I talked about before, is that working out and training and exercise is supposed to give you energy, not take it away.
I'm totally down with that. I kind of understand and empathize with what she was saying. It's not easy if you are used to not if you're not used to it to slow it way down like that. But yeah, obviously you can do it. It's just that's like the ultimate patience thing too,
Yeah.
which is such a great thing. And I like what he says here is that he believes there's no use training in oxygen debt for too long.
Yep.
So that's why the deep heavy breathing on the fast tempo runs don't necessarily fit this guy's philosophy.
Yeah,
Um,
I do have to say that it probably gave you the heebie-jeebies when he discussed his theories on sleep.
yeah. Controversial views on sleep. He believed that contrary to what most people believe, that people sleep too much, he would often limit his own sleep to only a few hours. But he
And
also,
that's where Mike Torelli checks out.
yeah, that's where he lost me. This dude is a
It was like the last paragraph though, so at least you waited till you got to there.
what a quack.
Yeah, right? Guy's full of shit.
He also says that, far as diet's concerned, that but this is just runners though, dude. So I got to be careful about this.
Exactly. It just runners. I think the biggest takeaway is the approach. And I didn't pull this from some Joe Schmo who doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, the guy that, and like I said, I kind of delved into this method of training last year and saw great success with it. And the guy that tweeted this article, that he coaches a pro who just got fourth at Ironman Arizona, so he knows what he's doing too. And you can read blog after blog and training pay. So many of the pros don't post anything that they do because none of it's fancy, and it's not a glamorous job. It's just a lot of work. um, and if you don't have the muscular endurance to hold your form, then no matter what, no matter how many speed or tempo or effort based workouts you've done, they will all mean absolutely nothing if your body cannot hold up what you're about to do to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for me, the biggest takeaway was easily the how safe it is to be able to run a lot and just run easy and accumulate a lot of minutes, and a lot of hours, and how much easier it is on your body and how much you can do it consistently. Because this is the most, since I've kind of incorporated this into my training the last 2 or 3 years, this is the healthiest I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I was battling Achilles injury after Achilles injury, and of course that had to do with running intervals hungover on vodka, but still, a lot of it is my approach to not knowing that running a 10:20 today is the best thing I can do for my fitness,
Mm-hmm.
and being okay with that. And a lot of it I think is also just being present and staying mindful of what, being in the moment and not chasing something, not chasing speed, not chasing a PR, just going out there and knowing that today, what I did today is exactly what I needed to do to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about the numbers. You just have to know that this was what was in front of me today. This is what I set out to do, and I did it. So when I ran my 40 minutes at 10:20, I was pumped because I was actually fairly happy that I was able to restrain myself to do what I set out to do and not let my ego get in front of me when I was hitting the streets and cars were passing me, thinking like, oh, look at that guy running slow, or I'm barely moving up hills. It's very hilly where we live, and to keep your heart rate below 145 on hills is hard. I mean, you almost have to walk.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And so it's just, but it's being okay knowing that the end result is going to be positive, and buying into that process is the most important part. It's not the track workout you did on Tuesday. It's the result you want to get on a Saturday or Sunday 5 or 6 months from now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole process is literally a marathon of sorts where you have to just be patient with the whole training plan for the most part. And do you think that this is advice that should cross over into cycling and swimming?
It definitely should cross over to cycling. I mean, we touched on it, like I said earlier before. Obviously, most age groupers don't have 10 hours a week to devote to, to a polarized approach that yields 8 hours of easy endurance riding and 2 hours of high intensity. Maybe a 70-30 is close, but there's still that battle of diminishing returns to where I'm just gonna work out so hard all the time that you're run down and you're never really going to work the energy system you need to work. So you just get faster, you just can't do it for long. And if you're gonna stick with short course stuff, that's good. But I mean, honestly, man, if you talk to Gwen Jorgensen, Javier Lopez, Irga Gomez rather, and the Brownlees, if you look at their training, they just train a lot and they train easy. They just do a ton of miles, a ton of miles. Swimming is one of those things to where you kind of have to be careful because you don't want to swim hard all the time, because usually what I see with my athletes is their lack of ability to go hard in swimming is a direct result of just too much stress going on in the running and cycling department. The swim is always the first to fade because it's the total body. You're just overall fatigued, and if you can't hold hundreds and 200s, that is the ultimate not warning sign, but kind of like a check-in sign is, man, that was a rough swim. Ding, ding, ding. All right, let's time to scale it back. Because it wasn't a rough swim because you couldn't hold the pace. It was a rough swim because we've accumulated a lot of mileage and volume in the running and cycling departments, and you just can't hold form because your body's just tired.
Yeah, it's a chronic fatigue.
It is. It's chronic fatigue. And that's where you kind of need to. But swimming is also the safest place to monitor it because it's damn near impossible to hurt yourself in the pool. Unless you're trying to do a flip turn and you can't do one.
Yeah.
But swimming it's the same thing. There gets to be a point to where you just can't do it. You can't be sharp enough for long enough to win.
Right.
Well,
I mean, the bottom line for me in swimming is last year I put in quite a bit of volume for me, and what I found was like you're saying, you get stronger, and really it's all about so much about relaxing and all this stuff. So if you're not trying to press your body forward in the water or on the bike or running, it just comes easier, and you're more fluid and you're more efficient, and you end up going faster in the long run. I know that's a fact in the swimming, because a lot of times I'll just go out there and then you find that groove where you just don't even feel like you're working.
Yeah, that's the best. Swimming, as I call it, swimming on a rivet is such a hard place, and where you're swimming pretty fast, but you're still swimming in control. And and that's the thing with building up any kind of fitness, whether it's run fitness, cycling fitness, or swim fitness, is that you want to get a little bit faster and do it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get a lot faster and not be able to hold it
Yeah.
because you're gonna break down, and it's just like it's a give a little, take a little. It's But that's the thing is that these gains and these this the progress you see over the long term is that you just don't want to be patient enough. I don't want to wait that long.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait that long. And I think one of the biggest reasons is people don't keep track. Like for me, on this, I'm a data junkie. I keep track of all kinds of data and numbers, and I keep track of, 1 week if I put in 40 miles, what my average pace was and what my heart rate was.
Mm-hmm.
And the next week, if my pace doesn't drop and my heart rate doesn't drop, which are both indicators I'm getting more fit, then I got more work to do, or B, and maybe I'm a little overtrained and need to take a little bit of recovery. But that's a way to quantify your improvement, is to keep up with those numbers and that data so you can see that you're getting better. I tell people all the time, is like, make it easy. Run the same route 5 days a week for a month. So it's the same distance, it's the same course. Choose a time of year where the temperature is not going to fluctuate too much, and on day 1 and then days, whatever, 30 or day 30 and then day 45 and day 60, check your heart rate and check your pace. If on day 30, day 45, and day 60, your pace has gotten faster, so it's dropped, and your heart rate has dropped with it, or even somewhat stayed the same, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? It's working.
Yeah.
So if you run this 5-mile route and you average a heart rate of 150 and you ran 8-minute miles, and at the end of the 60-day cycle, you're still running 8-minute miles, but your heart rate's now 140.
Yeah. Trouble.
No, you're in great shape.
Oh,
because
great shape.
because your heart rate got lower and your pace stayed the same. So if you wanted to run at a 150 heart rate, then your pace is going to drop. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
So if an 8-minute mile equaled a 150 heart rate, well, now your 150 heart rate's probably going to equal like a 745, 750. So you're getting fitter without killing yourself. Without trying to look for a gain in every workout, you're looking for a gain over a specific cycle. So that's that was something I would suggest for the listeners out there, is to help quantify it, is just set up a nice little easy route, 4 miles, 5 miles, whatever it is, 3 miles, 10. Make it the same. It's winter. It's just going to get colder, which is going to help you. And see what you can do for 30, 45, 60 days. And we'd love to hear from you. The results you've had. Email us. Call into Mike's 1-800 hotline at 2 a.m. And let
Always
us know
awake.
Exactly. Christian Iron, always awake. And let us know how it goes for you. But it's something I would suggest for everybody to do, especially if they don't have a coach that doesn't do a form. I mean, that's what I do for my athletes. I do all the nerdy stuff. They just go do it. But if you don't have a coach and you don't want one, that's the best way to kind of coach yourself, is to do that.
Okay. All right, let's roll through the takeaways real quick here. So the first one is that aerobic development is the key to success. And I think what you just described there is a good way to kind of attack that, to build that aerobic development. And then the second one is it's okay to run your easy days really easy.
Yep.
You buy into that?
Totally.
Okay.
100%.
I was just checking, man. I mean,
yep.
Things can change.
That's a pretty common phrase you hear from a lot of people. Make your hard days hard, make your easy days easy. The only problem is people usually have too many hard days and not enough easy days.
Yeah, or even too many medium days, I've heard, is a big problem too.
Yeah, it's kind of medium day is kind of in no man's land.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be what I do a lot. It's kind of like, yeah. Let's see. 3, don't carry around extra weight that serves no purpose. You want to be healthy but skinny. Now, we didn't really talk about that much, but he goes into like, what, 200 or 2,000 calories a day or something like that?
And
fasting and things like that?
I passed over a lot of his topics on weight, and not something I definitely agree with.
Right. Sleep 8 to 10 hours a day. Wait, no.
Definitely didn't say that.
He said sleep 3 hours a day.
Yeah, that's
Wrong.
yeah, wrong again.
Uh, run a good amount of total mileage per day. Well, let's say 5 days. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm talking like frequency 5 to 6 days a week if you can.
Mm-hmm. The easy mileage forms the base of your training and should be topped off with race pace tempo runs. So let's just give me a couple examples of those tempo runs again, because I don't think we got into it too good.
No, I mean it's a tempo run. My athletes, when I give it prescribe it for them, a tempo run is around your open marathon pace.
Okay.
Or excuse me, your open half marathon pace.
Half marathon. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, open half marathon pace. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. So then, how long? I know it's hard to say, but like if you say you're doing a 6 mile run or something like that, and you want to throw in some tempo, he was saying like 500 meters.
Yeah, he was saying not that many at all. He's talking 500 meters, a fourth or a third of a mile.
Yeah, like 3 times 500 meters, or mix in 50 meter sprints.
Yeah. So he's talking about getting in a mile total of those 6 miles at your tempo pace.
Okay. And then sharpening, such as short sprints, should be done during the final weeks of training. We didn't really hit that, but I think,
yeah. I mean, again, he's talking about those 50-meter or even 400-meter short bursts, and I think that the sharpening that he's kind of touching on is that you've already done what's needed in order to be able to for your body to handle those without accumulating a lot of fatigue. Especially in those final weeks of training, you're not looking to accumulate a lot of fatigue; you're looking to shed it. So you're really just kind of keeping your system at a peak pace, and a peak fitness, and not just get totally bogged down into tapering and not staying sharp, as he kind of alludes to.
Right. Awesome, man. I think that's a really good one. I think that's good for a lot of people to hear. It certainly gave me a paradigm shift when I read through this. And
Good. Go get you a run in then.
I think I am going to go do a run. A nice,
Good.
short-ish, slow run, and see what happens.
Let me know how it goes.
I'm going to try and go 11-minute pace.
No, not going to happen.
You don't think?
You're not that patient.
I'll,
You better take Maddie.
That's a good point. That's a good way to do it, actually. She'd stop me, and you'd walk a little bit. And
Yeah, one of my athletes in Knoxville took 3 separate dogs on her 45-minute easy run.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in order to stay slow.
That's interesting. It's kind of weird because I have a thing I do with her a lot, and it's called mailbox to mailbox. I'll walk to the next mailbox and run to the next one and walk and then run and walk and run and walk and run. I kind of like that. It's a nice little thing. I'm not usually sprinting, but it's something.
Well, let me know how it goes.
I will. I will.
All right, man.
I will post my results on that 11-minute target pace.
Please do.
All right, buddy. It's been a good day.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
All right, man. Bye.